Are you expecting too much from your partner? You know, our expectations are our own personal story. They're left over from things we didn't get as a child or relationships up to this one. And so what ends up happening is all our frustrated expectations gets dumped in to our new relationship. And it makes us act in ways that aren't cohesive for a healthy relationship. Sometimes it's not what we want, but because we're not aware of the expectations we're putting on our partner, even though our partner will complain or tell us why what we're doing or thinking is not healthy, we can't stop. And we just usually add on more expectations for our partner. I'm going to go through some unhealthy expectations. And if you see yourself in here, you might want to do a little bit more research into your own personal story, your own personal growth. And at that time, it'd be a good idea to talk to a therapist on your own. The first of these, if you put an expectation on your partner that you're finding your missing piece. There's a lot of theories out there that when people get together, they're pieces of a puzzle and they finally found their missing piece. That's usually not true. I mean, you're a whole person if you're emotionally mature. And when that whole person goes and finds another person, you're basically finding someone, a partner, a helpmate, who can help you work through some of the conflict you've had in the past. And because they're sensitive to that need, many times they're not only a gentle teacher, but a loving one. And so in a real sense, my idea of being in a healthy relationship is you're teaching each other, you're learning from each other, you're being supported by each other, and you're able to grow more freely going through whatever that limitation was holding you back. But you're not looking for a missing piece. And if you keep reiterating that or telling your partner, you're the missing piece of my puzzle, you're going to put a lot of expectation on them that they can't possibly fulfill, and it's going to end up making you miserable. Secondly, are you distorting and provoking? A lot of times to get your needs met, you can't directly say it, so you'll distort the situation or you'll provoke your partner. Let's say your partner treats you like a child, or you assume that. Maybe in your past, your dad or mom was condescending, or in a past relationship, your partner was condescending. So when you try to talk to your partner, you might use a little child's voice, a little girl or a little boy voice, and you're actually perpetuating that provoking. They're going to respond to the tone of your voice in the way they think they should. That's appropriate. And so if you're being parentified by your partner, there's a good sense that when you're around them talking about real issues, you're acting like a child. Do a self-check before you start projecting that expectation onto your partner. Thirdly, forgetting that your partner needs space. They need autonomy. You can't control somebody. When you get together with somebody, it's not your job to keep tabs on them or know where they are at all times. They need their own individualness. When you came into this relationship, you were two individuals. Don't get so you're leaning so much or pushing so much on each other that you're actually pushing the other person over or pulling them over. What you want to do is you want to give each of you autonomy and space so you can continue to personally grow. Otherwise, the relationship's going to get stagnant. It's not going to feel good. You're not going to want to be part of it soon. And your partner certainly won't, because they got together with you. They thought you were interesting. They were curious. You want to keep that going, and you only keep that going when each person has some autonomy. Shrinking your world. A lot of people, when they get in relationships, they forget about their friends. They forget about their personal growth. They forget about anything else they were doing. Everything becomes a relationship. That's not healthy. When you start doing that, you put this pressure, this expectation on your partner they can't possibly fulfill, and wouldn't be good for them to fulfill. So rather than that, you really want to encourage both of you to have another life. You want to go out with friends. You want to keep taking those classes, whatever it is. You want to keep studying that new language or learning that new cuisine dish. You want to keep doing what you were doing all the relationship is not all your world. If you had a plan to see your parents every other weekend, keep that going. You don't need your partner to go with you necessarily. You need to keep your personal life full so that your world doesn't shrink into or be absorbed strictly by a relationship. It will overwhelm the relationship and smother both of you. Expecting your partner to read your mind, we've all heard about this. Like, well, people just don't say what they feel anymore, and instead they keep it to themselves and they don't want to discuss it, or their partner should know. This is baloney. Your partner can't possibly know what you want without you saying it. So step up and say what you need. That's part of being a responsible adult. Holding back, being passive, and then getting angry at your partner because they didn't know what you wanted is putting an expectation on your partner to be a mind reader. And nobody's that good. Nobody should be. They should not have to read your mind to love you and care for you. And lastly, expecting your partner to take care of you. You're an adult, and it's important you continue to take care of you. Sometimes you'll run into some kind of a medical illness, and your partner will have to temporarily step in, take over your chores, try and help you with things in life that you need help with. But overall, you should each be responsible for taking care of yourself. And then when you come together, you're each taking care of yourself is putting effort into the relationship because you're fulfilling that you are continuing to be a responsible adult. I think when couples are going through expectations that they put on their partner, maybe one of the most common ones I see, especially in the beginning, is you have this fantasy of what actually a relationship should look like, whether you got it from Disney or you grew up with it or you watched your mom and dad or your grandparents or you see old people holding hands and you're like, that's what I want to do. But you want to remember that's a fantasy just at that level. Real love takes work. It's a verb. Even that old couple that's so happy and they're walking hand in hand, believe me, they have their trials. They have their good and bad days. Everybody does in a healthy relationship. You can't escape that. When you're working and creating something together, you're going to have good and bad days. Make sure you can advocate for what you expect so your partner isn't blindsided. And then they can tell you, okay, that's realistic or that's, unrealistic. Because really, couples do keep each other realistic on what they each can expect, and that is what helps contribute to a healthy relationship.